Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Classics Show. I am your host, SHABNAM RIAZ. How are you on this Sunday evening? Hoping that you've had a fantastic weekend. And today we brought a very special subject that we're going to talk about. And I'm sure that everyone is going to find something really, really valuable and, something that can change your life, honestly, life-changing advice, because we've got two experts here as well. And we are going to talk about mindset. And Mindset is a book by Carol Dweck, and it's a book that has it's had amazing research in it. Things that we have not realized that are fixing our personality for us to behave in certain ways. She talks about a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So in this book, we're going to talk about all those terms and how this affects our life and how actually we can change things for the better. So I'd like to introduce my guests today, and we're very happy to have Dr. FARYAL RAZZAQ, who is, she has developed a model on emotional intelligence at the Pakistani workplace and an assistant professor at ZOOBIA. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Our pleasure. And we also have sitting next to Dr. FARYAL, ZOOBIA Zubair, who's a therapist in the making, which is a lovely sort of a terminology, isn't it? And it's wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you, wonderful to be here.
Likewise. Okay, now as we mentioned the book that we're going to talk about today, the topic, mindset. For many people, it's a word they're familiar with, but how many people exactly know, what a mindset is? So, Dr. FARYAL, if I ask you, she makes the author in this book makes a distinction between growth mindset and fixed mindset. What is the difference between the two?
Okay. Carol Dweck is a brilliant psychologist. She did her, PhD from Yale, and the book is based on years of research and thousands of, participants, and she has based her research on that. She talks about growth mindset, and then she talks about a fixed mindset. So what fixed mindset tell you is that your intelligence is a God-given thing. You're born with that intelligence. You cannot develop it. They talk about, like, if you face challenges, you have to look smart. The growth mindset would do that they think that they have to look smart, so they avoid challenges. Okay. And they run away from the obstacles because they don't want to look stupid, because they think that to look intelligent, they cannot have it. Yeah, they have to be perfect. They cannot make a mistake.
So they're more worried with the perception of other people for who they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, these are the people who cannot take positive criticism as well. And when they see other people growing, they get envious and jealous, and they would like to, pull them down. Instead, like taking,
instead of learning something, they'd rather elevate themselves by making somebody feel
like
as
inspiration.
A lesser person.
They can take it as inspiration.
Okay.
And the opposite is the growth mindset.
Okay.
They believe that with practice, then they can even improve their intelligence, their skills. So when they are faced with challenges, they find it as an opportunity to grow themselves. And when they find obstacle, and they think that their mind has started working, and they said, okay, the obstacle is here, but that's not the destination.
Right.
So they move forward.
Right.
They try to move around it. They try to fix things, and in the end they take positive criticism. Okay. They try to improve themselves, and when they see other people growing, they take inspiration from them. So this is the basic difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset.
Fixed mindset. Okay. Zubair, now we see that more and more people are in need for therapy, or or they want to see a therapist, because so much is happening. It's not just something for Pakistan, the world over as well. True. We see that therapy has become a necessity of life. Yes. What is happening with our emotions? Why are we building them up to such a degree that it takes an event or something actually harmful to happen to you for you to take notice?
I think it's very important to first know that everybody has stresses in life, male or female. There's no gender restriction here. But the thing is, it depends on how your coping mechanisms are developed, how much they are developed. And in most cases, we are not taught how to develop coping mechanisms.
True.
Because we are constantly suppressing and repressing our emotions. You know, in case of females, we have a fixed mindset. We have a fixed set of rules over here. In case of men also, we kind of divide them into separate roles and we fit them into separate boxes. So I think that in itself puts a lot of pressure. You know, men are supposed to do this, there's the breadwinners, women are supposed to raise children, they're supposed to, you know, run the house. And I think these fixed mindsets also cause stresses. And if you see, when we raise a child, from childhood we raise them in a particular way. Girls are raised in a particular way, boys are raised in a particular way.
True.
This very small thing, you know, we hear a lot these days that like there's an advertisement also, boys don't cry.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this very small thing, why are we asking them to suppress their emotions?
Exactly.
It's okay for, you know, I think both men and women have emotions.
Of course.
And they're very valid, and it's okay, yes, not a public display of emotions, but yes, if at times you need to show them, you need to show them.
True.
So I think that's why therapy is required mostly nowadays, because we tend to overlook, we don't look at our blind spots, so there's no awareness that we actually are living those emotions, but internally.
So what we're really doing is actually we're storing away those emotions.
Exactly.
Or sweeping them under the carpet and thinking, you know, if I ignore this for the moment, then, you know, maybe I can just get through.
Exactly, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I would like to add to it. Like she said that boys don't cry. Sadness is a natural human emotion.
True.
If you tell a person you cannot exhibit that emotion, you're asking something inhuman from that person.
Right.
And this is not, you know, throwing the emotions down the carpet. It's like expecting something which is so unnatural.
Exactly.
And it is going to backlash. It is going to backlash somewhere. So asking girls that good girls don't, you know, show their joy in the public. Joy is a normal human emotion.
Right.
So why are we asking normal people who are just, you know, children, giving them this mindset of this preconceived notion of society that this is okay and this is not. And all they think that I feel that emotion in my mind. How can I get away, get rid of this emotion?
So why is it sort of that emotions are sort of associated with weakness? If we're talking about boys and, you know, this, you know, men as well, I mean, women are, you know, they have the sort of the liberty to display their emotions more than a man would probably feel comfortable. Is that because there's a link of people perceiving it as weakness? Or?
That's true.
Yeah?
That's true. Although I think it's very, only a strong person would show their emotions.
True.
And if you see, you know, like what Dr. FARYAL just mentioned, for children, the world is black and white. It's not the way adults see it. If you look at it from a child's perspective, it's either good or bad.
Yeah.
So mummy is also either good mummy, bad mummy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that. So if you tell a child, okay, this is not good, in a child's mind, he or
It's
she will
fixed.
perceive it that, okay, this is something which is bad, so I'm not supposed to do this. This is something which is good, because the gray areas are not formed yet.
Right.
You know, so
And I would like to add to ZOOBIA that here comes the therapy. We have never been trained because the emotions are there with us. If I give you statistics, they are alarming. We feel like about 400 emotional episodes per day. And
400?
Yeah. Average person feels...
An average person goes through around 400. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And we have about 70,000 thoughts per day. And out of those 70,000 thoughts, 80% of them are negative.
Oh.
And we don't know how to handle these things that are, you know, cooking up in our minds.
Right.
They are very much real. Like Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite authors, says that your thoughts are living thing. They have a life of their own.
So true.
Because they are there. You can't deny them. They are inside your head.
Absolutely.
So, thing as important as that you're going through a moment to moment, not daily basis. Every moment you're going through it. And we have never been given a training. And we have make it implicit that you can control emotions.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is something I really wanted to talk
I
about.
would like to add, because we don't know how to process our emotions, because at times we cannot talk to our parents about certain things, certain issues, even small things, you know.
Right.
Like, because discussion is not encouraged in our society.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Our society, okay, as you said, discussion, and especially things that are sort of, you know, taboo. I mean, those are really hard to talk about.
Exactly.
So is mindset making the society, or society making the mindset? How is it working, the relationship?
I think it works both ways.
Okay.
And you know, coming back to Carol Dweck's book, I would like to, I was just researching some material on her, and I saw this little short YouTube video, and in that, you know, it's also about awareness. It's about the fact that, okay, right now, at this point in time, I'm at a certain stage. You know, they gave an example of, okay, maybe you're broke, but you're broke right now, right? And if you keep thinking, I can't, you never will. That is what mindset, how strong it is.
How strong it
and
is.
if you believe that, no, at the moment, I am at this stage in my life, but it will improve. It will always improve.
True,
So-
absolutely.
This is what Carol in her book calls about tyranny of now. If you think that you cannot do it now, you can never be able to do it. That's the fixed mindset.
And that is sort of something to do with the procrastination as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
True.
The delaying something that you know you have to eventually deal with, because at that moment, actually, you're having that self-talk. And you're thinking, can I do that actually? You know, that's a bit of a challenge. And then, so here comes the growth mindset. Because the growth,
Exactly.
that's what she's talking about in the book, is to embrace that growth mindset, is to
True.
take every challenge as it is. And, you know, some of her quotes, that excerpts that I've taken from the book, is that you're in charge of your mind. You can help it grow by using it the right way.
Exactly.
So how many of us are thinking about what we're thinking? Because I don't think we really do.
Like I mentioned, that there are like 70 thoughts that you get each day, and 80% of them are, you know, negative thoughts. So you have to find a mechanism to think positively on a daily basis. You struggle with it. So your mind is generating thoughts.
So what are the tips for a person who's having, did you say 70,000?
70,000, yeah,
thoughts a
thoughts.
day. So the average person is having 70,000 thoughts a day. Of course, that is going to be affected by your environment.
Of course.
And situations that are happening around you. So if 80% of those are negative, what should you be doing mindfully to balance?
There are certain techniques like mindfulness, practice
Okay.
mindfulness.
Practice mindfulness.
And there are certain things that for every negative thought, you have to train your mind. You know, your mind is hardwired, not pre-wired. And how does your mind work? Actually, there are about 80 to 90 billion neurons working inside your mind.
Okay.
And what they do, they make connections, they make guesses. So they predict based on the previous experiences, what they see around the environment and your experience with the environment.
Okay.
So this is how they make emotions, generate emotions and your behaviors. So what you can do to curb this negative feeling is to think positively, consciously. So the thoughts that we're having are at a, you know, subconscious level.
So that means developing an internal radar as well, to sort of, you know, find out when you are having those negative thoughts, if 80% of the time, then you need to check yourself at that time and there and think about what you're thinking.
But you know, the reason why we have so many negative thoughts is because we don't live in the present. And this is something which is very important, and there's a concept called here and now by Gestalt, and I think it's just amazing how, you know, when you become aware of your present moment or your present stance in life at the moment, everything changes, because we are constantly reliving our past. We are constantly, you know, for example, if we have some issues with a friend, with a family member, with a parent, we will constantly, because it has not been processed in the past, it will keep coming back to us, and we'll have different triggers. Right? I mean, you know, maybe sometimes a friend said something and we will just have an outburst because there's different triggers. We don't...
It's not what they said.
Exactly. We don't analyze what's happening in the here and now to us because we are not aware
So
of
we're
it.
carrying a lot of emotional baggage.
Yes.
And Carol in her book also says about that there is a fixed and a growth mindset in relationships as well.
Exactly what I was coming
yes.
to. I'm going to quote these because I thought this is so important.
That's so
She says, choosing a partner is choosing a set of problems. There are no problem-free candidates. And also the whole point of marriage is to encourage your partner's development and have them encourage yours. I think that is so important.
It's beautiful, yeah.
What I loved about, from her book on the relationship is that relationships are not a place to take. Relationships are the place to give. So if you have that kind of a mindset.
Imagine. That changes the game, doesn't
Yes,
it?
exactly.
That changes
The whole
everything.
scenario changes there,
But
there
you
and
know,
then.
it's also interesting to see how here in Pakistan, I won't talk about abroad, but we get married to change each other.
Yeah.
Which is
That is so true.
a very interesting thing to see because
Yeah.
you are your own self, your partner is his own self, so you can't change each other. You can complement each other, but I think
Which is very
when you
important.
go with this mindset that I will change this person, I think 90% of the times the marriages fail because you're constantly trying to see this person who you imagined and who that person is not.
Okay, I have a question for you both. Thinking of our society where girls and boys don't usually get that much of an opportunity. Okay, universities, colleges and job places to really get to know each other.
Yeah.
So many, even till now, we have marriages that are arranged marriages. But the scenario has changed. 30 years ago, it was a different lifestyle. Now is a different lifestyle. What should parents be doing? What tips do you have for parents who are finding that their children, that they're in the rishta scene, okay? When people are coming over, they're taking their child to see people, everything's going on. The boy or the girl especially, has got many emotions she's dealing with. So what should parents be mindful of?
I think it's never too late to begin. The parents need to be taught this growth mindset also. They need to know that the things they have, the social constructs that they are glued to in the society, that this is the way it has to be. So it's okay if the norms are deteriorating, and if they tell their daughter your dead body should come out of your in-laws, and what if she's been beaten there? I mean, she's your daughter. How could you let that happen to her?
Exactly.
So the parents need to evolve a little bit in their mindset and towards the growth mindset. And relationships.
And give her confidence.
Give her confidence.
I think you need to trust your children. That's very important, be it male or female.
True.
Because especially in the case of girls, even in arranged marriages, and we quote religion a lot in terms of marriages. So in our religion, I think it's allowed. You can go and you can assess that person.
Absolutely.
And so much so, I mean, we have serious issues with age over here. We have serious issues with, like
Many
the way a person
superficial
looks.
things.
And yes, it's
Many
very
superficial
superficial.
things, yes.
So I think these are barriers which we need to get over because you need to allow your children, you need to trust them. I don't want to sound blasphemous, but the thing is, okay, it can be supervised also. Meetings can be supervised, but
According
allow
to
the
your
children to
comfort
get to know
level,
each
they
other.
They must. Yeah, things have changed. Okay, so asking you both, is this such a thing as a Mr. Right or a Miss Right?
No, I don't think so. I
That's
think that's
also a
just
notion
a Cinderella concept we grow up with, and I don't think that really is so.
Yeah.
I think you have to take the good qualities and see the good qualities in each. Look, nobody's perfect.
And even Carol in her book talks about that it's not that a person is a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. He can have a fixed mindset in one area and a growth mindset in another area.
Yeah,
so it's always a mixture of both.
True.
And it's growth, I think she mentions a lot. It's about growing, it's about getting to know yourself better.
So basically being right is just that you become the right person and everything will be right.
That is
If
so
you
true.
are giving in your relationship, you have the patience, and you can understand and be empathetic that the person maybe the mood is just because of a situation, not a personality character.
Okay.
Because we try to label people. Okay, he's an angry person, he's like so jittery or whatever. So stop labeling people and start empathizing why they're doing what they, because behaviors come from deep down emotions. Behaviors are a manifestation of emotions.
Right.
So we need to dig down deep. What's causing the behavior?
Where's this stemming from?
Yeah.
Where's this stemming from? Okay, Zubia, let's talk about relationships as we are talking right now. It seems that you attend, it's really sad to think of this, but you attend a wedding and sometime afterwards you find out that the couple are not married anymore, and very, very young people as well. And when, the things that get back to you about why they split up or whatever, sometimes they seem to be non-issues. So what advice do you give, and what advice should there be to people who are in a relationship, especially young people, the older generation as well, and how much that has to do with mindset?
I think, it's very important to first get to know yourself. Because if you are not mature, then of course you're growing with the other person is also not mature. And I think a lot of young marriages are happening these days, and
yes, very young.
That's one of the causes, because children are getting married for all the wrong reasons. It's either, family status,
That
it's
is
either
so
just, because we constantly tell our children, oh, you can do this after marriage, oh, you can have this after marriage. So, this thing needs to change. Why can't you have a life before marriage? And then you can make an informed decision about who and why you want to get married to.
That is so true, so very true. And those are the conversations we need to have with our children.
Exactly.
Instead of sort of like, saying that, making announcements and
That's
saying
so
that this
true.
is happening, whatever. It's a totally different world. And, we spoke about fairy tales as well. There was a brief mention.
Yeah.
I remember when I was young and my father used to bring home books and fairy tales, and my mother used to get so angry. Don't bring her fairy tales. Don't fill her head with all these fairy tales. It does affect you in a way, doesn't it? The damsel in distress, the prince that's going to come and rescue you.
Yes.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you think of yourself as a person who is incomplete, who will only have their problems solved when somebody else is in their life,
yes.
and he's the one who's solving them for you, which is not a good way to start off a relationship anyway.
True.
So,
And I think it's the way fairy tales are structured. A woman is made to feel incapacitated, and she's always being completed by a man.
true.
So, if you look at the concept, it's very interesting that, since childhood, those are the stories we are growing up with.
Right.
Those are the stories, all of us, and then we are like the damsel in distress, and we want a knight in shining armor to come and rescue us, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because when reality hits,
Yeah.
you realize, oh my God, where
is he?
was I, and where is he?
Exactly, so true.
What happened to my Prince Charming?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be that I
My
was...
Prince Charming turned back into a frog.
So
Exactly.
it was supposed to be happily ever after, and now I have
Which
to struggle on a
again,
daily basis.
I have such an issue with that ending, happily ever after. That again is something that is too, is too vague.
Yes.
Shabnam, that brings us back to square one. Training. We have never been taught, what's realistic, what's kind, what's right, how to, manage our own expectations and emotions. We have never been given that training, not in the schools, not in the colleges, not in the universities. Our parents are not emotionally intelligent. Our teachers are not emotionally intelligent. How can we expect that they can handle our issues? The child, where can it go? He's been asked certain unrealistic expectations, and he doesn't know how to cope with those.
Yes.
The societal constructs.
Right.
The child is all confused. It's not logical with what's been asked of him. So it comes back to again square one. We really need intervention right from the government level. That you see the media.
Right.
Let's come to media. What is the national policy, that what kind of culture, what kind of emotions, what kind of society or citizens we want.
Very true.
What are our priorities? Do we have it? I don't know if you have it, but I don't see it happening in the media.
That's true.
Similarly, education, we don't have any policy that says that we need to bring, develop soft skill, because what we are concerned is like giving a degree and go ahead and fight your own battle out there.
Yeah.
No training whatsoever.
And as you're saying, when a person in general looks around them, you can find a lot of aggression in the air.
Absolutely.
And it seems like it's a ticking time bomb, and it's just waiting for a trigger. Anything trivial. And you can see it everywhere. You can see it at universities. You can see it. You can see it at education institutions. You can see it in workplaces. You can see it at home. You can see it outside in the market, on the roads.
Yeah,
True.
So,
very true.
And I'd just like to add that, talking about happiness and growth and everything, happiness is within us. It doesn't, we link happiness to material things.
So
and
true.
that's what we have been doing to our children also.
Okay,
So-
we're going to come back to the rest of this answer. Right now we're going for a break, but don't change the channel. That's Welcome back to the program. We're talking about Mindset, a book, a fantastic book by Carol Dweck, and it's generating a lot of discussion. So many things that we are actually not aware of, and we're living our whole lives in a certain way, and we're actually causing a lot of harm to ourselves and people around us. Now, before we went to the break, Zubia, you were talking about happiness as well. And when we were off air, we were talking about how material things, while they can give you a momentary, they can make you happy for that fixed time, then the excitement wears off and the void is still there. There's something we need to fill. What's going on? What is it?
Actually, we linked, like you said, happiness to material things, and from childhood, that's how we've been training our children, and that's how, it's a vicious cycle. Because things don't make you happy. It's like, you get iPhone 6, and iPhone 7 comes along, and then you fulfill that need, and you move on to the next need. So it's not about things. Emotions are linked to people. So that's how you grow. I mean, you have to teach your children and yourself also that it's actually human relations that are going to make you happy.
That's a very interesting point, because it seems like, when you look around you, that people are being replaced by technology or specific gadgets, where people think that, I'd rather spend my time with technology or a gadget, and becoming, social media is there, but it's making us, ironically, it's making us into more of a recluse.
Yes, and that's like the most anti-social thing to do. If you look around you, if you go out, there's people, everybody has their phones in front of them, and they're sitting in a group, but everybody's just glued to the phone. So that's very anti-social behavior.
So we are disconnecting, aren't we? We're in company, even with the family. We're sitting around, but nobody's talking to each other.
Yes.
We're just looking at our phones or our iPad or whatever it is.
Let me share a research with you on happiness. It was done, they made in happiness index, and they chose the data from all over the world. And the happiest place on earth was a slum in Kolkata.
Okay.
And you know why?
Why?
Because they had very good relationships, very strong relationships among them. And the people were so poor that they would tie their children to their body and work. And so this is the happiest place on earth.
Right.
And the pursuit of happiness that we are doing
It's going in the other direction.
it's going to the
Exactly,
other
yes.
direction.
That's why more and more people are suffering from depression, and it's being said that depression is going to be one of the the biggest killers in
It is.
in
I
a couple of
think it
years.
presently is also. I'll give you an example from Pakistan. I was working on this project and we went to Tata, and we were working with displaced people in floods and all. And I was just amazed to see their spirit. Those people had been displaced like year and year round, because every time the floods come, but they would come back and settle in exactly the same spot. And it was very interesting to see that they were so, the level of poverty was just amazing. They didn't even have shoes. The children were playing and they were so hospitable. It was just,
Contentment.
yes, it was amazing to see, and they would offer you tea and they would offer you cookies, and it was just amazing to see. And I asked somebody, one of the locals, I said, they're so happy despite the fact that they, on the poverty
so many
scale, they're very
challenges,
low.
yeah.
Yes. So, and he said it's just not about that. It's it's about their connections with each other, and they move in groups. The families move together, so they will not leave if the floods come till the last person is rescued. They will not leave.
Imagine what strength.
So it's the links that we have with each other which fill that
So
void.
in other words, this is also coming back to something that we see a lot with a person, is that as a human being, we're yearning for acceptance, for love, for being included,
Yes.
for being embraced, for being welcomed, for being part of something, whether it's a family, it's a group of friends,
True.
it's whatever it is. When you feel you are being isolated, if we talk about societies and communities as well, in any nation, all the communities and the people in that country who are being involved, who are stakeholders in whatever way, they are the people who are the most contented. So basically the human being wants to be involved with human interaction.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
the good news is it's very easy to be happy.
Okay.
The research on happiness is that the little acts of kindness brings you joy.
yeah.
The happiness is in giving. So
Happiness
they
is
say
in
they have
giving,
researched
so
on
true.
thousands of participants, and the person who's doing this act of kindness become happy. The person who received this kindness becomes happy. Even the person who's watching this act of kindness becomes happy. So happiness
So
is
true.
contagious as
It's
well.
contagious.
Yes.
Dr. FARYAL, you said, you also said in a relationship as well, do not think about what you're going to take from that relationship, but what you're actually going to give. I think that's a fantastic approach.
True. If we start practicing on that, but before doing that, like when we are in an aeroplane and the air hostess says that in case there is a bad storm, put the mask on and then give the mask to the other. So you have to save yourself first. You have to understand your emotions, your state first before you can go ahead and give it to somebody else, and be a productive part in their life. You have to know yourself.
So what are the SOSs that we are giving out and are going unnoticed?
I'd just like to add to something Dr. FARYAL said, which is very interesting, that, when we are taught self-love, which mostly we view as being very selfish, it's not being selfish. If a mother does not take care of her own needs, she will not be able to take care of the needs of her children, her husband, their families. I think it's very important that you have to, for example, if you are tired all the time, how will your reactions be towards the child? You'll obviously be irritated, you'll be agitated all the time, and that in turn will, and
Rub off
manifest
on
in
the
behaviors
child,
of
exactly.
the child.
What you just said, your comment, brings me to another concept, which I think is really fascinating as well. The Eastern mother,
Yes.
the Eastern woman. She hasn't grasped this. What she
Exactly.
does is put herself as the last priority. she's doing so much,
Yes.
and she's neglecting herself.
It's all about sacrifice, and you know, she doesn't realize that
Yeah.
she needs to fulfill her needs too.
Exactly.
But at the same time, that mother is not fulfilling the emotional needs of the children because she's tired all the time. She's tired all the time. She hasn't slept well. So sleep hygiene is one of the reasons for this emotional outbreaks that we have. And we
Yeah.
have never worked on this hygiene. Like sleep, this is what, and why it is important, because all the debris that is being made in our brains due to this emotions and thoughts and all this all cleaned up when we have a deep sleep.
Right.
So neurons get set, it's a
Okay.
reset.
Okay.
So as simple as a sleep, we don't care, the mothers, because
So what we're basically doing is we are neglecting ourselves. We're neglecting the emotional. We're just like sort of, when your car's on reserve, you will go and you will be very mindful, and you will, get your, you will get petrol, and you know that if you don't have fuel, your car isn't going to run. But it seems like we're running on reserve nearly all the time.
And it's not only that, it's also the fact that, like there is no division of labor. There is no division of
Very
tasks.
true,
Because,
right.
as a mother, as a father, I think you have to put in your share. And now these days I see a lot of young couples doing that, which
Yeah.
is actually very good.
Very good.
Because,
Yeah.
then each party gets time to rejuvenate. So it's very important.
I know it's something that can't be summed up in a few sentences, but for our viewers who are watching and everything, what, for people who are feeling all these things that we've spoken about, give them a few tips, I'll start with you, Dr. FARYAL, as to how they can, be thoughtful and mindful and actually make a difference to their lives and the people around them.
it all starts with self-awareness, And there's a very funny research, and one of my favorite findings is that there are two types of people. The one who think they are self-aware, and the people who are actually self-aware.
Okay, very
and the
interesting.
research says that 95% of the people are not self-aware, who think they are self-aware. So it is such a wide. So on an average good day, 80% of us are lying to ourselves that we know ourselves.
Denial.
Denial. So we actually need to sit down and reflect upon us, okay, what we are actually feeling. And there jumps in the fallacy of self-esteem.
Okay.
It's a fallacy
All
because,
right.
in 90s, the concept of self-esteem, erupted, and everybody was like ego boosting and self-esteem, and it has backfired because
Okay.
it makes you a fixed mindset. Because you are, complementing your intelligence, your talents, and you want instant gratification, people, applauding for you. So on every single day, you do not get rewarded, you feel empty,
Inadequate.
inadequate.
Yeah.
So you need a constant, need to be rewarded and applauded. So comes the time that we need to be self-aware. What is exactly what we want? Are we aware of it? Or we are just asking just because we do not understand what's going on with us? So the self, awareness, which
Very
is
true.
it's the ability to understand ourselves, what we actually want, what's going on in our mind, what kind of emotions that we are feeling. So if we start, to be true to ourselves, it is very easy to understand. What was the cause that made me, angry? It's the tip of the iceberg that I just broke on an my co-worker because there was so much, boiling down inside me, so many instances.
Right.
So if we had a better communication,
Communication.
Yeah.
Exactly.
so
Yes.
that which would not have been there.
Yeah.
That it was, a volcano and it just erupted.
Right. Absolutely.
So I would suggest good communication,
Good communication.
and self-reflections.
Exactly. Zubia, you?
I would like to first say something. For me, I think self-esteem, contrary to what you said, I think is very important because low self-esteem makes you become a people pleaser, and that in itself has lots of issues. And 90% of us are people pleasers. So I think that is very important, that you need to have.
How do you define the 10% who aren't people pleasers? How do you know they are?
Yeah, I was just coming to that,
Right.
because you see, you put the needs of others before your own needs.
Right.
That is what a people pleaser is,
Right.
and most of our mothers are that.
Yeah.
So you know, having spoken about that, I think that is all because of low self-esteem.
Okay.
So you need to have that. But having said that, I think awareness is very important, and asking for help. You
asking
need
for help.
to ask for help when
Yeah.
you feel you need help, you know, and awareness comes with that also, because don't be scared to. 90% of the times we are scared to ask for help.
You know, and that's usually because we're carrying on this front.
Yes.
And this image that we have in front of people, and we don't want to tell them that
Yes.
actually, you know what, I feel like things are
It's
falling
because
apart.
of fear and shame, mostly.
That
you
what
know?
will they think about you?
Exactly.
So this, you know, this is bringing us to a whole different program. The log kya kahenge? You know, because I think, you know, we really have to talk about this. This impacts so much of our lives.
That's so true.
That is why the research says that the self-esteem, if you focus on self-esteem, then you are, you know, feeding the society of this construct that you have to please people, you have to look good. So this is why self-esteem
Compromising
backfires.
yourself all the
Yeah,
time.
that's why it backfires. This is why research suggests that it does you bad instead of good.
You know, I think it's a balance. You have to create a balance. You cannot be, because there's so many researches that have been done in the past that are contradicting now. So it's a balance, creating a balance of being aware. You need a little, you know, when you're cooking something, you need a little bit of salt with the pepper.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I think you have to create a balance.
Right. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the program. It's been fantastic speaking to you both, Dr. FARYAL, ZOOBIA. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
having
have
us.
learnt so much just talking to you as well, and I'm sure the viewers have had a fantastic time. And this would be a program definitely for a reference for people to understand more about themselves. So many things we don't understand, you know, that are happening in our lives, and it's so good to be able to put a finger on it and think, okay, this is where I think I need to work. So thank you so much for being on the show.
I would really like to compliment that this program is bringing out what actually are the matters, the important things in life. And I'm so grateful for PTV World and you for giving me this chance to speak my mind. And this is the service that you're doing. And I think we need to have more programs like that.
We definitely will. Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and with that we come to the end of today's program. You know, really, it's been so much of soul food going on here in this discussion, the things that we really need to talk about, and so many things have been identified. So do read the book, do invest in yourselves, invest in your emotions. We can't keep sweeping them under the carpet. It's something we need to address. And one of the quotes from the book is that you have to work hardest for the things you love most. So keeping that in mind, see you next week. Stay happy. Bye-bye.